Hi, it's Izzy over at Halo, and today I'll be showing you some new features that have been added, the first of which being custom statistics tables. So the statistics tables are a new type of custom table that allow you to take a snapshot of data based on a query that you can run at regular intervals, so daily, monthly, weekly, and these can be used for capturing a point in time data for reporting purposes. So current open ticket counts for agents at the end of the day, things like sales pipelines, tickets on certain statuses at the end of the day, so how many tickets were on hold at the end of yesterday, so things like that. And it also allows you to simplify more complex reports, so more extensive reports can be pushed into a table with data already calculated and formatted, and then can just be read from that table. And it also allows you to prepare data for forecasting, so you can compare data at different intervals and then use the new forecasting feature within things like the reporting suite. So within configuration, under custom objects and custom tables, there is now the option to create a statistics table that allows you to report on set periods of data and populate a table periodically. So if I just give it this a label and scroll down, we don't need to link it to another entity. And under the type, you'll now see there's the statistics table option. So within this, you essentially define your schema, so your tables within the schema, and set up a schedule that will insert the data into the table automatically at that period. So within the table below, you can specify your columns and your data type. So if, for example, I wanted to do a count of the number of tickets assigned to an agent daily, I can do count as the column, data type is going to be int, save that, and then my second column may be the agent in here. We can then do a different data type, and you can also specify the lengths of these. If I then save that, I now have two columns that will be populated within my table, and then your SQL script and query will need to match the schema, but you will also need to reference your columns within it. So if I just grab a script that I had earlier, so this is going to count the tickets assigned to the agents, and within the query we don't need to specify the time frame because the feature itself, so if I scroll down, the frequency here and the period to capture will then determine the rows within the table. So you don't need to basically join lots of different tables to get the data at a set period of time. This would also be useful if you wanted to see, let's say, the number of tickets that were on hold at a certain period of time each week or daily. Currently, you'd have to do a lot of joins and it might get a bit complicated to do so. But if we, again, set our SQL query in here, have your referencing your different columns, so count and agent, I can then scroll down and let's say I want to populate this daily. I've also got weekly and monthly. And then the period to capture. If I do current period, I can then set a schedule to say run daily. This would then obviously capture the information at that point every day. Or you can do a previous period of time. But if I choose current period and then save this, just give it a separate name, scroll down and save. Set my schedule once you've saved it. I could do start times, frequencies, days, holidays, and you can also set a last creation date. And I can also manually run this as well. So you'll see once you create the table, along the top there is the option to run now, delete data, import data. But if I press run now, Obviously, if you set this up on a schedule, this would populate the table automatically, but just for the sake of the video, we can see that 9 rows have been added to this table. If I now press OK and head to that table, you will see that for each agent, there is a row and a count with the timestamp and the period that ticket count was set for. So once this is running, it will continue to populate the table. So once you have this table populated, you can then report on this. So this will be a lot easier with this feature. So if I head into, let me just grab my table name. If I head into the reporting suite, this is one that I populated earlier, but you can create charts a lot easier because all you would need to do in the data source is select all from your table. So it means you don't have to write a long SQL query with lots of different clauses to essentially populate this. It is purely a select all query. You can then do your chart setup. So in this case, I've done a bar chart with my x-axis as the period, my y as the count, and then I've summed the count. I can then group by the agent, and when I preview that, you'll see the data that you're populating within the table will appear on the chart here. Obviously, if you're running this report daily or weekly or monthly, this chart will also update as that data comes in as well. So the table makes reporting on set periods of time or even past periods a lot easier in terms of capturing the data and reporting on the data. So within the table, there is also the option to import data. So this will allow you to use an import spreadsheet to upload past data. So column names in the spreadsheet would need to match the column names in the schema and contain obviously a timestamp column, and then that will be used to calculate the period. And you can also delete the data. So you can choose a date range in here. So if I choose the start date or the end date, and you can delete the data within that range from the table. So the next set of features I'd like to talk about are improvements around the self-service portal. So there is now the option to change the navigation button alignment. So if I just switch over to the self-service portal, you will see that the navigation bar here is currently aligned to the right, but if I switch it to the left, the buttons now move along to the left-hand side. So that means you don't have to end up doing CSS to shuffle things around. And we also have 3 new options to display on the portal, so widgets. So under here, you can do show my tickets widget, show my approvals widget, and show my assets widget. So if I head back to the portal and refresh this and scroll down, you'll see the widgets just appear at the bottom of the page. This will just show the 5 most recently updated tickets assigned to the user that's logged in, the 5 most recent pending approvals, and the 5 top assets that are assigned to the user. These can just be enabled within the self-service portal config like I've just shown here. You can toggle them on and off, and that is at a global level. So there are 2 new features around the chat functionality. So there's a new chat audit area, and there's also a new chat transcript style. So firstly, the chat audit area allows agents with certain permissions or the relevant permission, which is just called chat audit level at the role, to view a chat that's either ongoing or closed without actually having to join the chat. So this can be achieved by just clicking into the chat, pressing view chat details from the chats tab on a ticket, or a chat in the chat area if that feature is enabled, or from a new chat history tab on the chat profile. This area will then show all of the key information to do with a chat, including the participants and the messages. And with the highest chat audit permission, an agent can also modify the messages for closed chats if needed. for example, to remove sensitive data. The new chat transcript style can be enabled in configuration, chat advanced settings, and then use a new chat transcript style. The chat transcript generated when a chat is closed or when a ticket is logged from a chat and the $ variable for the chat transcript is used as the default details will now have an updated style, which you can see here. So finally, on the chat features, we have added the ability to set a chat profile override at the user level. So within the user role permissions, there is now a section called the self-service portal chat profile override under the chat settings, and this contains the field that I just mentioned. So if set, the users on the portal will use that chat profile over that is configured at the organization, client, and global level. So if set to none, then no chatbot will be visible for the user. It's worth noting that if the user has multiple roles, the chat profile override against the role with the lowest ID that has the field set would be used. Thank you for listening to the new features that I went through this week. If you would like to view any additional features, leave any comments, please head over to our community page.